when I started design, I just start doodling around. I mean, I love to play around with paper and pen, and I'll go through lots of different versions of something. And I guess I'm just sort of a frustrated architect. I like to create boxes and squares and connect them, and if something resonates with me in the way of a shape or a form, then I kind of go with it, and it just kind of grows from there. When I'm trying to come up with some kind of a form, I try to be as open-minded as possible and just let the creative process go to work. But usually I have some preconceived idea about what I want. In the case of this house, there are some parameters. I mean, I know it's not going to look like a Chinese pagoda. I know it's or a French chateau. It's going to have to fit this property. It's going to have to be very Americana. I mean, it's in a way sort of defined by the limitations of budget and so forth. So, it won't be the Palace of Versailles.
One thing we know we can't do out there is we can't afford this much cabinetry and wood, and we've got to condense the kitchen down a little bit. So we've got a smaller kitchen where we're going to have to put the appliances together and have it real efficient in the layout for the client or whoever's going to live in that house, or for Alan.
I would say that this kitchen was a reflection of the trade-offs we made for the client specifically. I feel like what we're going to be looking at with the garden home is making a trade-off so that we can afford both the front porch and the back porch.
I really believe everything springs from nature, even classical architecture. And so when you read a lot about how these various forms evolved, it's really pretty fascinating. And they did come from natural objects in very simple forms, like the whole idea of the post and the lintel that you see, with the post on the house and the lintel that runs across. And that had very, very basic origins going way, way back. So if you take this leaf, for instance, this acanthus leaf, I mean, it's symmetrical. You look at them, they're each side is, virtually the same. They may not be exact mirror images, but you have this symmetrical leaf, which is really beautiful.
The top 5 green things in the garden home that I see at this moment, it's going to be the roof package, which is the insulation and the material. The thermal envelope as a whole, meaning you got to make sure the floors and the walls and the connections between the floors and the walls and the ceiling are all built correctly and as tightly as possible. Technology and passive design. Balancing those out is very important, because about half of the year in this climate you could live outdoors, meaning you don't need any energy to stay warm or cool or whatever. So the other half you do. It's going to be either extremely hot or extremely cold. So balancing between those two is going to minimize your energy consumption, your overall energy consumption. We're using local resources, local people, and as many local materials as possible. We're going to cut down on waste, we're going to reuse as much as possible, and we're even going to bring in salvaged materials as much as possible to cut down on not only cost, but the embodied energy of new materials. We're building in 150 days for $150,000 an energy efficient home.
What's interesting is people can go into a classically designed space, a room, a building, whatever, and they can go, there's something about these proportions that make me feel different. There's a certain harmony here that you pick up that maybe you can't really articulate, but you sense it, you feel it. And so what we're doing is we're benefiting from thousands of years of architecture and thousands of years of experimentation, and taking the very best of it and editing it down in a stylized way and applying it here as it fits this place, and that's terribly exciting.
I believe very much that we can impact the world in a very positive way through the way we build. And 150 days is actually a very green thing. The quicker you can build something, the less time you spend on it, the less money you spend on it. So that's a very green thing. Efficiency is all about time. So that part I'm attracted to. If we can get a house done in 150 days, that's excellent. If we can get it in a budget, that's even better. And if it's efficient, highly efficient, and we prove that it's efficient, then that's an even better thing to be able to explain to the world and educate everybody that you can do this quick, you can do it affordable, and it works.